Now, on Monday of this week, coming to Theatre Clwyd is the touring production of the brand new play Under Three Moons. Now, this is telling the story of two mates, Mike and Paul, who enjoy a drink and they enjoy a smoke and they like to crack jokes. Who doesn't? And it follows them from boyhood to fatherhood. It's really a story of growing up, spanning half a lifetime. Written by Daniel Kanaber, stars Darren Cuppan and Kyle Rowe. And I caught up with Kyle midweek for a chat about this rather important piece of theatre. So sit back and enjoy this wonderful interview I had with Kyle midweek. Here he is on the Stage and Screen show, Calon FM, Kyle Rowe. So this tour then, it's coming to the end of the road, isn't it really? So has it been a goodie?
It has, mate, yeah, it really has. I mean, everything about it's just gone like a train, like from the start of rehearsals to getting it up on stage, to getting it on the road, to getting on stage every night. Everything's just been like 200 miles an hour, mate. It's been wicked, and obviously, getting to travel, getting to see parts of the world or parts of this part of the world, and we've got such a small team on the road, so it's been nice, man. Kind of, a bit of people time, a bit of you time. Yeah, man, it's been nice, really nice.
Yeah, fantastic. So, was being an actor always on your agenda from being a kid?
It was from being a naughty kid. It was always on the agenda. It was kind of one of the only things on the agenda. I mean, I played football to quite a high standard, at kind of numerous kind of School of Excellence academies and kind of represented kind of Manchester and kind of England at kind of schoolboy level at different occasions. And,
wow.
And I got a knee injury, so I had knee surgery probably at maybe like under 19 level, and so that kind of ruled me out from playing football. So then kind of fate decided it for me, because I could never really decide myself. I was playing football to quite a good standard, but then I was really enjoying the acting and whatnot. But I think I'm at that point now where it's no longer a hobby. It's kind of, this is my career, this is a choice, and kind of growing up, it's always a hobby or a serious hobby or kind of a financially benefiting hobby, but now it's kind of a career. It's kind of, don't get me wrong, I still love it, and I bet it is fun each and every day. Some days you kind of wake up and go like, this is it now, this is kind of the career choice that we've made. So I have always been it as a kid, to go, and I always found kind of escapism in it, and I always found joy in it, and kind of I could exert my energy in something that, for me was very productive, kind of went, and I wasn't the worst in class, but I was far from the best in the class, you know what I mean? So to kind of have drama at GCSE level, that, that 2 or 3 hours a week that I could go and enjoy and kind of be myself and kind of not get in trouble for it was nice for me, really.
Because I always think with being an actor, there's a sort of fine line between doing it as a hobby and doing it as a job,
I've been very fortunate kind of with, parents who've never been pushy or shovey or kind of telling me what I do need to do and what I don't need to do and what career I should get and what career I shouldn't get. So, I've been very lucky in that aspect that it's been completely left up to me, because, I'm 90% sure that, a lot of people drop out or leave it behind for financial reasons, because, don't get me wrong, at times it is absolutely glamour and showbiz, sure, and everything that it can be, but, sometimes you're earning next to nothing and, you're travelling around at a van that breaks down at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's got its ups and downs, but for me, it's not about finances, because at times it's not the greatest. It's still, for me, it's about the love and the enjoyment, and actually, just being able to exert my energy somewhere that, for me, I just get a buzz out of doing every day, really.
Oh yeah, fantastic. But I mean, to go from the disappointment of, you're almost, it sounds to me like you almost turned professional as a professional footballer. To go from that disappointment to, you've done pretty well as an actor so far.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm kind of, it's getting there. The CV is looking nice. It's kind of, for me, it's not about being the best. It's about being my best. And, each and every job I'm progressing, and each and every audition that I'm going for, I'm finding new pieces and I'm finding bits that aren't working. For me, that's what it's about. It's a climb. It's not. It's a crawl. It's not a marathon kind of thing. And I'm very happy, and I know I'm very lucky to have the CV that I've got and have the people around me personally and professionally that I've got. So it's a big old slog, but I'm strapped in and I'm ready for it.
I was interviewing a guy the other day, Paul Bradley. He used to be on EastEnders. He was years ago, and we were talking about the fact that he did The Young Ones. Do you remember The Young Ones?
No.
You don't remember The Young Ones? How old are you?
25.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well,
well, The Young Ones is like classic classic TV, and he was in like one of the earlier programs of it, and I was talking to him about the fact that some jobs you just sort of, you'll look back on it and just go, oh, I can't believe I was even involved in that. And you getting a part in like the likes of like Peaky Blinders and House of Anubis, TV programs like that, you're part of TV history, whatever happens.
Yeah, of course, but it's having the gratitude to actually go, of course, to the naked eye, some jobs are bigger than others, but for me, it's about hitting every job as a new job, if that makes sense. Regardless whether you're going into a musical or a play that's been running for 50 years, you've got to treat it as a new piece of writing or a new piece of TV and film, and you kind of got to give your version of that.
Yeah.
And, that's all you can do. No one else can walk into an audition room and be you. They might be able to say it like you, or they might be able to look like you, but nobody is going to be you doing that. And, more and more now I'm finding that casting directors, they're not looking for these character actors, they're looking for that character to walk in the room, and you've just got to trust that what you bring for free is going to be right. And on those occasions, for House of Anubis, for the tiny part that I had in Peaky Blinders, I was right. For Box of Tricks, for Under 3 Moons, I was right.
Yeah.
Yes, as an actor, that's all you've got. You've only got yourself. The moment you try and attach things to kind of external mediums or things and people and places, then you kind of, you're going to lose hope and faith in yourself, really. So I think absolutely it's, you kind of have gone down in TV and kind of media history, but it is history, and you're only as good as your last job, I suppose. So it's about kind of nailing everything that you're involved in, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of doing new work, it leads us brilliantly on to this piece you're doing at the moment, Under 3 Moons. And I was saying to you earlier that it's very seldom that I read a synopsis of a play and I think to myself, I don't just want to go and see this. I almost feel like I need to go and see this. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Can you give us a quick synopsis of it?
Yeah. So it kind of, Under 3 Moons follows. They're not initially friends. You're kind of two individuals who kind of are in school together, Michael and Paul, and they end up being put together for whatever reason, without giving too much away, on this school trip. And there's an event that kind of should push them away from each other, but actually it pulls them together. Yep. And that's the first spark that we see of friendship, of boyhood, of growing up. And then we see them from 17, we see them at 27, and we see them at 37, and we kind of see how life, how friendship, how love, how despair, how loss, all kind of ties into one on their journey throughout life. It touches upon men's mental health, it touches upon kind of postnatal depression, it touches upon relationships, friendships, growing up, being let down, loving, hating, despair, everything. It really, honestly, it has got everything in it, and to be able to kind of just sit in that for 70 minutes as an actor, as a human being, it's beautiful for me. And for Darren, we were talking about it last night with a friend who came to see it, just saying that it is not often you get to just stand on stage and talk. You're not reacting to a terrorist attack, you're not, this big thing hasn't grown out of the ground, and it's all, it is literally two boys, two teenagers, two men sat on stage or stood on stage talking about life, and life happens, and actually what happens when life happens and you miss those sliding door moments, or what happens when them signals are not read, or what happens when those signals are read but it's too hard to talk about, or you don't want to talk about, or you can't talk about. And I think that is the important thing about this play, is actually, a number of people have said, well, what do you want the audience to take away from this? And we just said conversation, a spark of conversation, a realisation, a desire to actually want to talk, or feel that need, or that kind of permission to talk. And that's all we can do. Life isn't all this kind of social media idealistic views of the world that we see, or all this influence of you. Life happens and it gets you by the scruff of the neck, and sometimes it'll pull you up to your feet, and sometimes it'll send you to the floor. And for us to have 70 minutes to tell this story is, for me, I think, and I know I'm kind of very early on in my career, but I do honestly think this will be one of the most honest projects that I ever do. It's beautiful, man, and it's two boys close to home. I think what I certainly feel with this piece is that everyone will come, and everyone will be a Michael or a Paul, but everyone will be Michael and Paul, because they change so much through the play, they transition so much, they revert back to where they were on day one, and then they shift to where the other person was on day one. And I think that's what's so gorgeous about it, is I think everyone who comes to see it, male or female, will see an element of themselves in both of these characters, or their friends, or their colleagues, and go, okay, maybe I need to go in on Monday morning and just double check that X, Y, and Z is okay.
Yeah.
Does X, Y, and Z need to talk to me, and it's about kind of and if people could take that away from it, then I think we've done our job, really.
Well, I think that is, brilliantly put, by the way. That was absolutely fantastic. I mean, you almost give me goose pimples listening to you talk there. But I mean, this play it's almost like genius in its simplicity, isn't it? The subject it's often the subject's often ignored, and it's probably more interesting to be explored around two blokes as it is. I mean, women, albeit we kind of expect women to be in touch with their emotions, but when two guys do it, there's more sort of impact there.
Yeah, completely. It's I'm not too articulate in this field. I'm kind of quite not naive to it, but I in terms of the way I articulate it, like it is down to evolution, I believe. Like, I am the biggest fan of 21st century England and what everyone is fighting for, and equal rights and feminism. But it comes down to evolution, the reasons that men and women were put on this earth. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, in time, where we have evolved from, there were two very different and very specific roles within society. And I think that is the reason that men are so bound and so so knotted inside, because they need to be strong, they need to provide, they need to work hard, and they need to toughen up, and they need to man up. And I think that is where it comes from. It comes from evolution, as everything does. But I think we're in a point in time and in history where we are talking to one another. But actually, if each and every one of us understands that it's okay to be okay, in fact, okay not to be okay, and that there are people there listening, and that's what it is. People just want someone to listen. Men don't want answers. Men just want to be able to vent. Like, think about the moment people start giving us answers, we start thinking even more, and all we want is just someone to sit down, open their ears, open their eyes, and listen to us.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this play is about, these boys just listening to each other. And at times they don't, and we see very clearly what happens, and it's very evident and very vivid what happens. But I think society in general at the minute is changing, and it will continue to change, and it will continue to be swings and roundabouts. But I think we absolutely are going in the right direction. The charities that are around, the people that are around to help, the numbers you can call, and the people that are there kind of offering with open arms, are in their numbers. It's just about understanding that and knowing that we can actually go and talk to these people and gain some kind of more positive mental health, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because everyone's got one. Everyone's got a mental health. It's just whether or not it's a positive one or a negative one, or it's one in between.
Well, I was actually thinking this not long ago, actually, because mental health, as you say, is very high on everyone's agenda these days, it seems. And I always sort of thought to myself, well, I was all right. I was never sort of, never that sort of concerned about anything. I wasn't anxious about anything. And I'll sort of look back over my teenage years and think, actually, I was,
Yeah.
But then I don't know, would I have actually gone and done anything about it? I mean, I didn't do anything about it because there was nothing in my mind to do anything about.
It is this, and it's something I've been thinking about, like, recently, in terms of, like, hardiness and, like, I am okay, because actually every person's story and every person's journey is different. Something that means the absolute world to you could mean absolute naff all to somebody else.
Yeah.
And when we're reading through this text and we're around a table looking at it, and we're going, that's not a reason. You wouldn't harm yourself because of that. You wouldn't try and take your own life because of that. And actually, who are we to say why somebody else would take their own life? Because something that means absolutely naff all to us could mean the absolute end of the world to someone else. And I think that's what's important about where we are now, is understanding that, you don't have to lose your siblings or lose your parents or be in mad financial debt or owe people money to actually, take your own life, or attempt to take your own life, or cause visual harm to yourself, or, stand at the edge of a train track or tie a noose or whatever.
Yeah.
Each and every person in society, their reasoning and their form and their inhibitions are all different, and they're all personal, and nobody else can tell you what can or should or will cause depression or will cause anxiety or will cause anything other than positive mental health. And I think that's something that we all need to realise. And, we do, but I think it's just about checking in with ourselves and going, actually, it's okay that I might want to take my own life because, like, I'm having to have an operation on my knee that's going to take me away from what I love, Whereas someone else goes, oh, I'm fine, I sit at an office 9 to 5, and so that's the difference. It's, everything is individual, and everything is kind of to the person as opposed to society.
Well, we're hearing it at the minute, aren't we, with Prince Harry? And, I mean, Prince Harry's talking about his mental health, and the amount of people I've read saying, oh, come on, what have you got to be depressed about? You're royal. It just beggars belief that people actually have still got that notion in 2019 for me.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, I think that's again, that is, for me, it's a persona, and it's about this whole exaggerated version of themselves in their career. But I think, for me personally, that's, you know, it's the whole idea of Piers Morgan saying about when he went on strike and actually it got him a pay rise. You know, all this kind of nonsense that's going on. It's all just feeding a vicious cycle, and you know, it's a shame that it happens. But for some people, it's a living, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I love the idea. I love the idea of the following the two different life patterns between Michael and Paul.
Yeah,
Paul. Yeah, and it reminded me of. Have you ever seen the documentary Up?
No.
There's a documentary. They've ran it over about must be over 50 years now, and every 7 years they sort of like they got these kids when they were 7, and when they were 14, when they were 21, etc., and up until like the present day. And you can see the difference between the ones who became homeless, the ones who had really good jobs, the ones who have become millionaires, you know. But
I'll have to give that a watch, actually. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think it might be on Netflix, actually, but it's...
Okay.
But it reminded me of that, you know, and that's an interesting thing, I think, for most observers to sort of get their head round, that we all come from the same place, we're all going back to the same place, and
exactly.
You know, what happens in between is, it's just a lottery, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, of course it is, and, you know, I don't believe anything, you know, it's a much bigger conversation, you know, is it nature, is it nurture, what is it, and honestly, I don't think there'll ever be an answer, because we've all got influences, all of it. You know, we're all influenced by nurture, we're all influenced by nature and everything in between.
Yeah.
So, you know, as much as kind of I do believe that there is a path created for us, I think it's how we kind of respond and react within that. But like you say, there's so much going on around us today. There's social media, there's the press, there's your social experiences, your personal experiences, psychology, mental health, everything. There is so much more now in 21st century England to be a product of.
Yeah.
You know, in times gone by, we didn't have all these external influences and all these, you know, this influx of media and phone hacking and all this, and it all, you know, it all comes together as one, really. And you know, we're in a very different environment in 21st century England than we were in, you know, even 20th century England. You know, it's crazy how quickly time is passing us by, really. And I think the moment we stop and kind of stand still and actually think about, because it's not often we think about where we've come from, it's often where we want to go to. Actually, the moment we kind of take a look at things retrospectively, I think personally our mental health will change, because often we look in the mirror and think, oh, I don't like this, I hate this, oh, that's horrible, oh, this is ugly, when actually, you know, we need to take a look at where we've come from and what's changed and benefited us. And don't get me wrong, some people might have none of that, and there might not be anything to look at positively, but I'm sure somewhere deep down there is always a positivity for everyone to look at, however big or small that may be.
Yeah, fantastic. Listen, Kyle, it's been a treat speaking to you, buddy. Thanks ever so much for that.
No worries, and do give us a shout when, you know, come and say hello after the show and whatnot, and I'm sure I'll catch you there.
Yeah, fantastic. Cheers, mate.
All right, not a problem. Take care. God bless. See you later. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's go for a little walk under the moon of love. Let's sit down and talk under the moon of love. I wanna tell you that I love you, and I want you to be my girl.
So there you go, Kyle Rowe coming to Theatre Clwyd on Monday, along with Darren Cuppen, in this fantastic new piece by Daniel Kanaber. It is highlighting the importance of mental health in men. It's called Under Three Moons. I can't wait to go see it. I cannot wait to go see it. If you fancy grabbing yourself a pair of tickets, I think the best thing for you to do is to call the box office 01352 344 101. That's 01352 344 101. I've been told it is limited availability to go and see this piece, so you better get your clogs on if you want to go and see it. That's Under Three Moons coming to Theatre Clwyd from Monday. Go on, support your local theatres, girls and boys. They won't be there forever if you don't.